So right now, if you look online, you'll see that Audi are advertising for jobs under the name of Audi Formula Racing. From what I can see, all very positive and generally looks like things are moving forward. However, even after seeing that, the Audi F1 project, despite the big name, despite the pomp, despite the branding and everything, is still a difficult one to be convinced by. I don't think I'm the only person to think this, but these persistent rumours around doubts and what we see in the news about changes at the boardroom level don't fill me with hope about this whole thing. On paper, there should be absolutely no issues here. Audi are taking over a very credible and capable F1 operation in Sauber. They're building their own engine and they have the backing and resources surely to do this well. They've got the global status, and also motorsport is in Audi's DNA. Now, wanting to be on the F1 grid is one thing, but your reasons for doing so have to hold water and have to be sound. One of the factors is because of the new regulations and being able to start a season on a level playing field. But the biggest factor, and what looks like to be the main selling point to Audi, is that the engines are going to have increased electrical power and be running on 100% sustainable fuels. A massive incentive for them on the engine side of things, because it's now more in line with what they do with their road cars. It's a bit like if you make bacon, you may as well make sausages too. And this is all lovely and everything, but to me it sounds like it's an enormous marketing exercise, and also a very expensive marketing exercise at that. Their big PR statement when this whole thing was announced says a lot about being part of a new era of F1 and the change in regulations. But there's not that much in there about passion and wanting to go racing and competing and to win. I wonder what people like Mr. Enzo Ferrari or Frank Williams would have had to say about reading that statement. Now, please don't get me wrong, I would love to see Audi in F1. They have one of the biggest motorsport heritages in the world. Some might argue better than Mercedes or BMW. They can add so much to the sport on brand and recognition, and by being a global car manufacturer, it makes fans somewhat relatable to what the team is doing. And also, Audi have a habit of winning everything they do. And there you go, I've just regurgitated their marketing spiel for them. When Audi made their announcement that they were joining Formula 1 back in 2022, it was met with a response of, finally. Audi are coming into Formula 1 after years of hovering around the outskirts. And to go along with this enormous response, they launched various computer-generated images of their livery and what it might look like, and also a show car decked out in all its Audi F1 livery, taken to various events and various F1 weekends as well. And this was all great and everything, but a mock-up of a car will only get you so far. Audi then had to begin the hard work, and it's ever since that period, it's been very difficult to hang your hat on whatever Audi seem to be doing, and also promising. And in my opinion, I think it's because we the fans haven't been given anything solid from inside that project ever since that whole livery launch. All we've heard so far are rumours about it's off, and then it's on again, and then it's off, but then it's back on again. But then who could blame us when the only tangible news coming out of this whole thing is that boardroom level people and also the architects of this whole project are now leaving. And it's these boardroom level CEO switch arounds and photos of some very serious looking people talking about selling their shares in Sauber because Audi are apparently not where they want to be financially. They're not selling enough cars. Perhaps once the novelty and honeymoon period of entering F1 wore off, they started to look at the numbers, do the sums, and they just thought, mein Gott. And with this in mind, you do kind of wonder how much independence the F1 side of things will have eventually from the road car side of things. Will we then have business people trying to run and manage a sports team like you would a business? Sports teams understand losing. They see it as a necessary thing on the path to success, whereas businesses and companies tend not to kind of think that way. They want success right now. There must be success at all times. And regarding how it's run, we've seen this time and time again with manufacturers coming in and trying to run the F1 team in exactly the same way as they run their car company. We saw this with Ford and Jaguar, we saw it with Toyota, and the greatest F1 flip-floppers of all time, we've seen it with Honda. And it's this outlook that has never really worked. I mean, even if you look at McLaren, you could even say that they've gone off the boil a little bit ever since they started investing heavily in mass-producing sports cars. F1 car designer Gary Anderson has said on many podcasts that when these giant car brands take over a team, in his case, when Ford took over Stewart and then became Jaguar, it switched from being this slick, fast-moving operation to this lumbering, directionless, slow-moving team in Jaguar Ford, with people at the top just seeing the F1 side of things as pretty much a side hustle. And I do worry this is what might happen to Sauber, who are currently a very tidy, small, self-contained F1 operation based in Switzerland. But after 2026, this operation will be run by people nearly 400 kilometers away, or nearly 250 miles away, in Germany. It may not seem like much, but if you're in the factory trying to do stuff related to the car and you need a decision made, it's going to kind of slow things down a little bit. But then from a fan perspective, I think the biggest failing of this Audi F1 project so far is that they haven't given the media, the fans, anyone, anything solid to chew on in terms of them committing to the future. There has been pretty much nothing about the team or engine development. I mean, just give us a logo for Christ's sake. I mean, it's not too much to ask. Back in April 2023, when they were still in their kind of F1 honeymoon period, they said that they will be testing their F1 engine by the end of the year. And here we are in early 2024 and still nothing. Now imagine if they announced a massive driver signing or even a big title sponsor, a new partner. I mean, that would really kind of show some commitment that they're all in on this project. Of course, rumours around Sainz and Audi are persistent, and there's a few other drivers dotting around, but still, at this stage, nothing's confirmed. Now, I'm sure all these factors are being considered behind the scenes, but from what we're hearing in the news, it just feels like Audi are kind of working out where this point of no return might be. And before they get to that point, there's still time to pull out and come out unscathed, but if they go beyond that, they must commit 100%. Now, on one hand, you could say that they're quietly getting on with the project and not releasing anything to the press. I mean, after all, now, anything you put out there can be turned against you. But imagine what we would think of this project now if they had kept to their original plan of doing the engine shakedown at the end of 2023, put this brand new sparkling Audi engine into the back of a 2022 Alfa Romeo, done a shakedown. It would be fantastic, and we would think, yep, this is the real deal, they're definitely going to do it. But if Audi F1 was entering as an entirely new operation and 11th team and they just pulled out, I wouldn't be too fussed because we'd still have 10 teams left. However, if they cancelled the project now, this then throws Sauber into doubt because, you know, they've experienced this before when BMW left them. And with this, you can totally see why Sauber have tried to financially bulletproof themselves by bringing in Stake and Kick as sponsors. I mean, who can really blame them when their entire survival might be on the cards? But you know what the worst thing is? It's when you see an operation like Andretti, who were basically doing the exact opposite of what Audi were doing. Andretti were continuously talking to the press, showing their full commitment and intent to race in Formula One. Not as a side hustle, not as a marketing arm of a giant corporation, but as a genuine 11th team. And whilst we're here, I don't think we've heard the last of Andretti. I don't think they're going to go away, and I think we'll see them on the grid by the end of the decade, at least in some shape or form. I've seen things in the news and various other content creators talking about a potential partnership between Sauber and Andretti if Audi doesn't go through. And I guess this would be fine, but it would be a shame not to have that real deal American team, because it wouldn't be the true vision of what Michael Andretti was trying to put forward in the first place. Now, my opinion of this whole Audi F1 project so far is that they've bitten off more than they can chew by trying to be an engine supplier and a Formula One team. Now, I don't know the exact terms of their entry or what was promised or generally what was said between Formula One and Audi to give the whole thing the green light. But if Audi had committed to F1 just as an engine supplier from 2026 and chose to supply Sauber, it would have been a far easier and doable option. Then you supply engines to Sauber, learn how things work, and if the right opportunity presents itself at the right time, then take over the team, or perhaps move on and take over somewhere else. Maybe perhaps like Ford are doing with Red Bull, maybe they've learned that they need to kind of step back a little bit and enter it slowly. Because right now at Audi, it just seems like it's a bit too much too soon, and I think the folks in charge are starting to kind of realise this. Because let's face it, although they're taking over Sauber in 2026, it's going to be a couple of years or a few years before we see a real deal Audi Formula One car. It's going to take a while for that Sauber DNA to kind of slip out of the system. Now, going back to what I said at the start of the video, I sincerely hope that Audi delivers on its promise and we see them on the grid in 2026. The potential for an Audi-Mercedes rivalry, if they're competitive, would just be amazing to watch. But the thing is, F1 must be careful about bringing in these manufacturers who have an agenda besides motor racing. Stuff like a recession, a boardroom switch around, or even a downturn in car sales is enough for these guys to pull the plug, especially if they're not doing well in the sport. So finally, I guess my message to Audi, and also Sauber to a degree because they will become the team in question: give us something, show some commitment, make an announcement, give us something that we can sink our teeth into as fans. Make us excited and hungry to have you in F1. Because from what we're hearing so far, all I'm getting is just hesitation and an inkling that the board don't seem to be very interested in the project anymore. And if history tells us anything, this is the death rattle of any manufacturer involved in Formula 1. So there we go, Audi F1. Will we see them in F1 or will they pull the plug? Please let me know what you think in the comments, and also why not give us some love and subscribe to the channel. I'm Paul, and I'll see you again soon.